They blame you, they drain your energy, they leave you confused, tense, and tired. But what if the smartest way to deal with toxic people is not to fight them, not to fix them, and not to prove anything to them at all? What if the real power is calm? What if the real victory is clear thinking? Stay with me, because this can change the way you protect your peace. There comes a time in life when you understand something deeply. Peace is not something you keep chasing in the distance. Peace is something you guard. And one of the biggest dangers to that peace does not always come from hard events or painful situations. Very often it comes from people. People carrying chaos inside them. People who spread pressure, guilt, anger, and confusion wherever they go. People who pull others into their storms and then act surprised when everything around them breaks. These are the people who poison the air in a room without even raising their voice. And no matter your age, no matter your experience, learning how to deal with such people is still one of the hardest skills in life. But listen carefully. You do not have to suffer because someone else refuses to face their own pain. You do not have to carry what was never yours. You do not have to drink from a cup filled with bitterness just because someone else offers it to you with a smile. Real strength begins when you stop reacting blindly and start answering life with calm, distance, and inner control. That is where freedom begins. That is where your power returns. And if you stay until the end, you will understand why the strongest person in the room is often the quiet one. There is an old lesson that explains this perfectly. If someone tries to hand you a gift and you refuse to take it, who does the gift still belong to? It stays with the one who offered it. The same is true for anger. The same is true for blame, insults, manipulation, and disrespect. Not everything thrown at you must be caught. Not every word spoken to you deserves a home inside your heart. Toxic people live by a simple pattern. They throw emotional weight at others and hope someone will carry it for them. They want you to feel guilty. They want you to feel weak. They want you to become upset enough to lose your balance. And when you do, they feel in control. That is why their energy reaches you before their words do. You feel tired after being near them. You feel uneasy without knowing why. You start doubting yourself. You replay conversations in your mind. You feel judged, cornered, and pulled into drama that was never yours to begin with. That is not your imagination. That is your inner system warning you. Pay attention to that feeling. It matters. The smartest response is not revenge. It is not a long speech. It is not trying to explain your goodness to someone committed to misunderstanding you. The smartest response is clarity. Clarity about who you are. Clarity about what you allow. Clarity about what you will never accept again. This is where life changes, because the moment you become clear, their confusion loses its grip on you. And here is the part many people miss, so listen closely. You do not win by overpowering toxic people. You win by no longer being available for their game. Boundaries are a huge part of that victory. And boundaries are not cruelty. They are not punishment. They are not walls built from hate. Boundaries are quiet lines drawn with respect. They protect your mind. They protect your time. They protect the peace you worked hard to build. A toxic person will almost always test those lines. They will push. They will question you. They will act offended by your self-respect. They may call you selfish simply because you stopped letting them use your kindness. They may call you cold because your silence no longer gives them the reaction they want. But do not confuse your calm with weakness. Silence can be strength. Distance can be wisdom. Walking away can be one of the most powerful acts of self-respect you ever choose. Many people ask how to deal with those who keep hurting them again and again, those who blame them, drain them, and turn every moment into tension. The answer is simple but not easy. Do not meet fire with more fire. Do not answer darkness by becoming darker. Meet it with stillness. Meet it with control. Meet it with a mind that is no longer desperate to be understood by someone who enjoys misunderstanding. There is deep strength in leaving without anger. There is deep power in stepping back without noise. Because when you walk away from chaos with your dignity still in your hands, you do not lose, you rise. Keep listening, because this next truth matters more than most people realize. You are not here to save everyone. You are not here to heal people who are committed to staying broken. And you are definitely not here to destroy yourself while trying to rescue someone who keeps pulling you underwater. Some people are attached to their pain. They repeat it. They protect it. They build their identity around it. And when you stand near them long enough, they want you to carry part of it too. They want your peace to become their battlefield. They want your light to dim so they can feel less alone in their darkness. Let that truth sink in. You do not rise by wrestling in mud. You rise by climbing higher. You rise by refusing to live in constant emotional smoke. Toxic people often follow a pattern. When you finally hold them accountable, they play the victim. When they can no longer control your choices, they attack your character. When you stop explaining yourself, they create stories about why you changed. Let them. You do not need to fight every lie told about you. You do not need to answer every false picture painted by someone who cannot reach your spirit anymore. Time has a way of exposing what noise tries to hide. If someone keeps disrespecting you, step back. That step back is a message. If someone keeps bringing drama into every space they enter, cut the cord. You are not meant to absorb endless negativity like a sponge. You are meant to live with dignity, with purpose, and with enough inner space to breathe freely. Think about that for a moment. How much of your life has been wasted trying to calm storms that were never yours? How much energy have you spent explaining your heart to people who were never listening with honesty? This is where your new life begins. Not with louder words, with cleaner energy, with simpler decisions, with the courage to stop feeding what keeps feeding on you. A strong person learns how to bend without breaking. Think of bamboo in heavy wind. It moves, it bends, it gives space to the storm, but it does not shatter. That is the kind of strength you need. Not hard pride that snaps under pressure, but flexible wisdom that stays alive. You can detach without becoming bitter. And that matters because bitterness is the final trap toxic people leave behind. If they cannot control your life, they still hope to live inside your heart as resentment. They want to leave a mark. They want your peace to become their final victim. Do not give them that. Feel the pain if it is there. Be honest about the wound. Admit that it hurt. Admit that it disappointed you. Admit that some words cut deeply. But after that, choose peace over revenge. Choose healing over obsession. Choose freedom over replaying the same painful scene in your mind every night. That is real power. Not pretending you were never hurt, but refusing to let the hurt become your identity. Maybe the toxic person is not easy to avoid. Maybe it is a family member. Maybe it is an old friend. Maybe it is someone tied to your daily life in ways that feel complicated. Then the work becomes more internal. Not every separation happens on the outside first. Some happen in the mind. Some happen in the heart. You can still care about someone and refuse to let them invade your inner world. You can still love someone and reduce their access to your peace. That is not hate. That is maturity. That is emotional wisdom. And if this is reaching you right now, stay with it. Because this shift alone can save years of quiet suffering. Your mind is sacred. Your emotional energy is sacred. Not everyone should be allowed to walk through that space with dirty shoes. Guard it carefully. The moment you stop reacting to every insult, every guilt trip, every attempt to provoke you, something powerful happens. You begin to take your energy back. Toxic people survive on reaction. Your anger feeds them. Your long explanations feed them. Your need to be seen as good feeds them. Even your effort to prove your innocence can become fuel for their control. But when you stay calm, when you remain rooted, when you stop offering them the drama they came for, they begin to lose their grip. Suddenly you are no longer easy to move. Suddenly they cannot shake you the same way. Suddenly their chaos hits a wall made not of violence, but of clarity. And clarity is powerful. Clarity cuts through blame. Clarity cuts through guilt. Clarity cuts through manipulation the way light cuts through fog. You do not need to shout to be strong. You do not need to argue to be right. You only need to see clearly and then act with discipline. Ask yourself a serious question. What kind of person do I want to be now? Not 10 years from now. Now, do you want to be someone always pulled into conflict, always defending, always tired? Or do you want to become someone steady, centered, and free? Life is too short to spend it proving your worth to people who only notice your value when they can no longer use it. Read that again in your heart. It may be the sentence that changes everything. At a certain point in life, peace becomes more important than performance. You stop living to please everyone. You stop trying to earn approval from people who give none. You stop treating your spirit like public property. And that is not selfish. That is wisdom. After all you have survived, after all you have carried, after all you have learned the hard way, you owe yourself a quieter life. You owe yourself better company. You owe yourself the right to say, enough. Remember this deeply. You do not need to change other people to protect yourself. You only need to change their level of access to you. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Not everyone should walk beside you through your most private seasons. Choose carefully. The people around you should add light to your days, not shadows. They should strengthen your heart, not empty it. They should inspire honesty, calm, and growth, not fear, exhaustion, and confusion. Kindness does not mean unlimited access. Compassion does not mean endless tolerance. A loving heart still needs wise gates. Saying no to someone else is sometimes the first honest yes you have given yourself in years. And that yes matters. It tells your nervous system that you are finally listening. It tells your soul that you are finally protecting it. It tells your future that you are no longer willing to build your life around surviving emotional damage. If this message feels sharp, good. Sometimes truth must be sharp to cut the ropes that have held you too long. Keep going, because the next part is where everything becomes even more freeing. Many people think letting go means weakness. It does not. Letting go is often the highest form of strength. It takes courage to release what once mattered. It takes wisdom to stop forcing closeness with people who only bring pain. It takes self-respect to stop chasing understanding from those committed to confusion. Letting go of toxic people is not abandoning them. It is returning to yourself. It is choosing your joy over constant emotional debt. It is choosing your health over endless stress. And letting go does not always mean a dramatic ending. Sometimes it is quiet. Sometimes it is less talking, less explaining, less hoping, less access. Sometimes it is answering less, expecting less, and walking forward without announcing every step. Some of the strongest moves in life are silent ones. Some of the clearest boundaries make no speech at all. Your peace becomes the message. Your absence becomes the answer. Your calm becomes the final statement. And something beautiful happens when you stop trying to convince people of your worth. You become lighter. You breathe better. You sleep deeper. You stop performing. You stop shrinking. You stop standing in rooms where your spirit has to apologize for existing. When you no longer explain every decision to people who do not live your life, you become free in a new way. You become the guardian of your own energy. You become the one who decides what enters your mind and what stops at the door. That is not coldness, that is inner leadership, that is maturity, that is peace with a backbone. And yes, it may upset people who benefited from your lack of boundaries. Let them be upset. Their discomfort is not proof that you are wrong. Sometimes it is proof that you are finally doing something right. The truth is simple. Toxic people do not always change when you speak gently. They do not always change when you sacrifice more. They do not always change when you love harder. Some only change when they lose access to the person they kept taking from. And even then, some never change at all. That is why your job is not to wait forever at the door of someone else's growth. Your job is to keep walking. Your life is precious. Your time is limited. Your spirit is not something to hand over to chaos every day and hope it survives. Protect your mornings. Protect your sleep. Protect your attention. Protect the silence that helps you hear yourself again. Protect the simple joy of being emotionally safe in your own life. This is not small. This is everything. There is a special kind of freedom that arrives when someone toxic tries to pull you back into an old pattern and finds nothing to grab onto. No anger, no panic, no desperate defense. Only calm, only clarity, only a person who has learned the cost of peace and now refuses to sell it cheaply. That is the moment you become hard to shake. Not because you are heartless, but because you are rooted. Not because you stopped caring, but because you finally started caring about the right thing too, which is the condition of your own soul. If you are still here, remember this line. You do not have to attend every argument you are invited to. You do not have to carry every emotion someone throws toward you. You do not have to answer every disrespect with your energy. Sometimes the strongest move is simply to remain untouched. So walk through life like someone who understands that not every battle deserves your blood. Speak like someone who knows silence can say more than noise ever could. Live like someone who has forgiven much, learned deeply, and now values peace too highly to trade it for drama. Be calm, be clear, be steady. Be like water, flowing around what would otherwise trap you, moving forward without needing to crush everything in your path. Let your strength be quiet but firm. Let your boundaries be simple but strong. Let your presence say, I wish no harm, but I no longer welcome harm into my space. This is how you rise above toxic people. You do not become colder than them. You do not become louder than them. You become freer than them. You become harder to manipulate because you finally understand yourself. You become harder to wound because you stop standing where the arrows always fall. And maybe that is the deepest lesson of all. Freedom is not always found in changing the world around you. Sometimes it is found in changing what you allow to stay close to your heart. So if you needed a sign, this is it. Protect your peace. Guard your energy. Trust what your spirit has been trying to tell you for a long time. Some doors must close so your life can breathe again. Some voices must fade so your own voice can return. Some people must lose access so your joy can grow back. Choose peace. Choose clarity. Choose yourself. And once you do, the chaos that once ruled your emotions will no longer be able to reach you in the same way. That is not escape. That is mastery. That is dignity. That is strength. And that is the smartest way to deal with toxic people.